So two things before we get into today's video. First of all, I made an appearance on the Rusty Mojo Show, which features, of course, RustyBuckets, Mojo99, and Rudy St. Clair. They invited me on. We talked about the NBA. We talked about some trending topics. We talked about my career on YouTube so far and why I started. And another interesting topic that I'm sure if you actually watch it, you will basically know what I'm talking about. Also, tomorrow, I will be making an appearance on the Off the Ball podcast with my guy Chris LeBron. If you don't know, he was on my podcast earlier, I think last year in December, but you know, he's always fun. We're going to be talking about some draft guys over there. So if you're interested in that, make sure you tune into that tomorrow. I'll put the link to his Twitter. I'll put the link to all his podcast stuff below as well as the stuff for the Rusty Mojo. So if you're into either of those things, make sure you go check those out. And you might be asking yourself, didn't you just do a mock draft not too long ago, like only a week ago? Yeah, I did. But the thing is, I always planned on doing a mock draft a few days before the tournament. And I kind of just forgot about that plan when I released my mock draft 2.0 for 2021. But I'm not going to deviate from the plan to make a pre-tournament mock draft. It's always been the plan. I am using a random order from Tankathon to spice things up a bit, just so it's not repetitive. And, you know, my board has changed a bit. You know, I watched board tape on guys have moved up, guys have moved down. This mock draft is going to be guys going higher than you expected, guys going lower than you would expect, so it should be fun. But before we get into today's video, if you're new and you like basketball, I really think you will love this channel. So if you haven't already, feel free to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I release a video. I make videos to take elements from film essays and apply them to basketball. I also make videos covering the NBA draft as well as high school sports as well. So if you're into any of those things, you know, this is the channel for you. I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so doing all those things would be a big help to me. Try to get this video to 100 likes so YouTube will recommend it to others. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. With the first pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Houston Rockets selecting Cade Cunningham, the point guard out of Oklahoma State. Don't really need to go into too much explanation with this one. I've talked ad nauseum about Cade Cunningham on this channel for what seems like probably the last 2 years. You get the idea. 6'8", 220 pounds, rare skills for his size, rare intangibles for someone that young, and really someone that can be a franchise player. The ideal PNR creating wing guard hybrid type. You guys get the idea with him. He's the number one pick. I've been saying for a while now he's easily the best player in this draft. And I don't want to bore you guys any more than I have to. With the second overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Sacramento Kings selecting Evan Mobley, the big man out of USC. Another really self-explanatory pick. You know, when you have the second pick in a draft like this and there's a unique talent and a rare talent like an Evan Mobley still on the board, you take him. I know you have Marvin Bagley III, but he's really dealing with a lot of injuries, hasn't made a lot of progression. It might be time to give up on him sooner than later. And I just think Mobley coming out is a better prospect than Bagley when he was coming out. And Bagley was awesome coming out of Duke, but Mobley is just a very combination of size. He moves like a wing at 7 feet tall. He can pass, he can shoot, he can defend multiple positions. He has versatility on both ends of the floor. And he's really everything you look for in a new age big man. And I think that Sacramento could use something like that. With the third overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Washington Wizards selecting Jalen Suggs, the combo guard out of Gonzaga. Jalen Suggs is awesome. He's somebody that can play both guard spots, definitely more of a combo guard than a true point or a true two guard. He's one of the better passers in this draft. He's somebody that has great vision. He kind of is someone I see playing a similar role to Tyrese Halliburton, where they are more of a secondary playmaker, but they're still like the best passer on the team. Although I think that where Halliburton and Suggs differ is that, Suggs is a better athlete and has a better frame, while Halliburton's a better shooter. So that's where they differ, but I think that is something you can do. Also, Westbrook isn't going to last forever. I don't think he's a long-term answer at all for Washington, so getting a guy like Suggs really could be the answer for them. With the fourth overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the New Orleans Pelicans selecting Scottie Barnes, the power forward out of Florida State. Now, this is an interesting pick for me, and you might be thinking, well, they have Zion, they don't need another power forward. Well, really, no matter who they pick, it's going to overlap. Because if you take a wing, you have Ingram. If you take a guard, you have Lonzo. You have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You just drafted Kyra Lewis Jr. So really, I think with this fourth pick, you just draft for the biggest need. And the Pelicans' biggest need is defense. They're awesome on offense. They need defense. Scottie Barnes would address defense. He can defend multiple positions. He has a great motor, plays with relentless energy, will make the plays that don't show up in the box score either. Kind of could play a Marcus Smart kind of role. Not saying he's Marcus Smart, not even a similar type of player because they play different positions, but that kind of impact where the numbers don't show close to enough of how much of an impact that he could have on a game. And, you might be thinking to yourself, well, a guy like that, you don't take that in the top 4. You take a guy that can get numbers. But the thing is, I think Scottie Barnes can have the impact and return the value impact-wise of a top 4 pick, even if it doesn't show up in the box score. And if you're New Orleans, you really need a defensive player and somebody that can contribute. I think Barnes is someone that could contribute. I don't think he would start, but really it's hard to say that no matter who New Orleans would pick here, that they would even be drafting a starter. With the 5th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Golden State Warriors via the Minnesota Timberwolves due to the D'Angelo Russell-Andrew Wiggins trade, selecting Jonathan Kuminga, the small forward for G League Ignite. This would be the dream scenario, in my opinion, if Jonathan Kuminga could end up in Golden State. End up with a team with a great development staff. It's kind of been shaky with James Wiseman based off like media reports and things like that, but I think it's actually been gone pretty well considering the circumstances Wiseman was in Golden State. But with Kuminga, there were concerns in the bubble I had. He didn't show too much improvement. He showed that he was one of the better players in the draft, and even with the struggles, but there are things I wish he would have progressed on more. But I do think being in a culture like Golden State would be beneficial to him. And I think that wherever he ends up, he needs to be in a great development because he has all the talent. The talent is so obvious with him, but he still hasn't put it all together. I was hoping it would in the G League, but it hasn't. And I think Golden State, if anyone besides like San Antonio could get that out of him and make him, the player I think he could become, I think Golden State's one of those teams that could do it, and I would really be happy if he ended up here. You have great mentors like Steph, Clay, Draymond, although he might get traded soon, I don't know. And maybe, if you develop Wiseman properly, if you develop, Kuminga properly, that's a formidable duo potentially for the future. With the 6th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Detroit Pistons selecting Jalen Green, the shooting guard out of the G League Ignite program. Jalen Green is someone I was a bit, skeptical of going into a G League bubble, and after the bubble, I'm higher on him than I thought I would be. He showed a lot of signs, a lot of promise, was decently efficient, a better shooter than I thought he would be. He showed what he did well, and that was create offense for himself. And he did that at a pretty high level for someone that was, 18, 19 years old, playing against grown men that have NBA experience. That's pretty impressive. And I think for Detroit, is someone I think you could put next to Killian Hayes, because Killian Hayes is a more than willing passer. I think Jalen Green would benefit from playing alongside a point guard like Killian Hayes, and that could be a very fun backcourt of the future. I still don't think he has like franchise centerpiece potential like some believe he does, but I do think that his ceiling is something like secondary kind of guy, which isn't a bad thing, because there are guys in that like 10 to like 20 range in the NBA right now that are secondary players. They're the main guy, so that really isn't a problem. I still have my concerns about the handle. I still think if he wants to reach like a centerpiece ceiling, he will need to improve dramatically as a passer. But for what he is right now, I think he shows signs of being at least a solid player, and I think the Detroit should really pick him up, because he's an exciting player that would add to a fun crew with Killian Hayes, who's really one of those forgotten players because he's really good, and I know he struggled early on and he's dealt with injuries, but if he hits and if Jalen Green hits his outcome, that could be a special duo. With the 7th overall pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, I have the Orlando Magic selecting Moses Moody, the wing guard combo kind of guy out of Arkansas. 6'6", 205 pounds, can really, I think once he adds weight to his frame, will be able to play small forward, which I think is good because it means he'll be able to play with Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz if those guys are healthy. If not, if one of those or both of them just have lingering injuries, he can play the guard spot at the 2. I don't think he can play the 1, but definitely can play the 2. I really like him a lot. He's somebody that I'm working on my big board, my updated big board now, and it's looking like he probably is going to be towards the top. I think that there's a chance like top 4, top 5, on my board for him. He's somebody that is a 3-and-D wing at worst. I think he has a really high floor because of his shooting ability and the frame. And I think that because he's one of the better shooters in the draft, he can get to the line. He's someone that can create on and off the dribble. I just think that players like that, they have a place. If you can score the basketball, you have a place in this league, especially at that size. I think that, there's a chance he ends up being one of the better players in this draft. He's somebody that's definitely a candidate to, exceed even the ceiling I have on him. And I think Orlando could use a scorer like Moses Moody. With the 8th overall pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers selecting Jalen Johnson, the small forward / power forward from Duke. Of course, we all know he ended his season early, dealt with injuries. Things didn't necessarily go as planned. He was someone I was super high on going into the year. I have number 3 on my board, and I've lowered him. There's definitely reason to believe he could fall even further than 8th overall because of concerns off the court. I don't know too much about those concerns, so I'm not going to speak on them. I'm not going to have them influence my opinion on him and where he should go. But it just makes the most sense because they don't need a guard, and a lot of the best players that are left on the board are guards. And, they have Colin Sexton. They have Darius Garland, their finite guard. You look at, small forward, they have Isaac Okoro, who they think is the small forward of the future. And then you look at Jalen Johnson, who really profiles more as a power forward than a small forward. And I think it works. Kevin Love's probably not going to be in the team much longer. They're trying to get rid of Andre Drummond for good reason. He's not that good. And they have Jared Allen to be their big man. I think Jalen Johnson being sort of a playmaking boy could be a fun role. He has defensive potential as well. It's really hard for me to drop him outside of the top 10 just because I think he's so talented. He's somebody that I wouldn't be shocked if he went super high. I wouldn't be shocked if he fell out the top 10, maybe even the lottery. I definitely think if he fell out outside of the top 10, he'd be a steal. But we'll see. I think that Cleveland could be an interesting spot for him because I think the fit would be interesting to say the least. With the 9th overall pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, I have the OKC Thunder selecting Jaden Springer, the combo guard out of Tennessee. Now, Jaden Springer is somebody that in the other mock draft I had going 9th overall, so I don't have too much to say that is different. But to give a basic gist of it, he's somebody that can play both guard spots, he can pass, he's been a better scorer than expected, he plays great defense, and I think he would be a really fun fit next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that backcourt of Jaden Springer and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think could be really fun. Jaden Springer, again, like I mentioned, one of my favorite players in this draft. I have him top 5 on my board. I'm so much higher on him. I think that he has all that potential. I think he could be even more than that. He's super young. He's only like 18 years old, and he doesn't turn 19 until after the draft, like probably like right before the preseason starts. So that goes to show you how good he is. With the 10th overall pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, I have the Toronto Raptors selecting Zaire Williams, the small forward out of Stanford. Zaire Williams is one of the, if not the biggest, like high ceiling, low floor players. Big risk, big reward kind of players. You guys get the idea. The shot making and shot creating flashes, not only for himself but for others, are so enticing that I think a team is going to take a chance on him in the top 10 regardless. But there's a lot of work that needs to get done as far as consistency, as far as adding weight to his frame. But he has the right mindset. He plays hard. He has, really good motive even when he's not playing well. He doesn't want playing bad discourage him from, playing hard and playing to try to win. Like, it just doesn't discourage him, which I think is always an encouraging sign, like I mentioned last time. But being in Toronto would be massive for him, because Toronto's one of those teams that could turn those flashes of shot creating, passing at that size, and they can make those flashes substance. And if he turns those flashes into substance, he has a chance to be a special player on both ends of the floor. With the 11th overall pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, I have the Indiana Pacers selecting Corey Kispert, the small forward from Gonzaga. Corey Kispert is the only senior that's going to be in this video. And the reason why is he's somebody that's going to be able to contribute right away. And Indiana, I'll be honest with you, they're not really a lottery team. I think that there's a chance that they end up being in the playoffs by the time the season ends, just because of how bad the East is. They've dealt with injuries, of course, as well. They're just getting careless revert back. But with Corey Kispert, he's somebody you know what he's going to do. He's going to be able to hit threes as a wing, which is really good. And he's somebody that's going to contribute right away. And, there really isn't much to say, because it's very similar to what I said about my last mock draft, where it's like, he's going to go to a team where he can contribute right away. And I think teams in that 10 to 20 range are going to have him super high on their boards. With the 12th overall pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, I have the Memphis Grizzlies selecting Keon Johnson, the shooting guard from Tennessee. Keon Johnson is a super uber athlete. He's somebody that just jumps off the screen athletically, shows so much effort and so much promise on the defensive end. And while he still is a work in progress on offense, and it's very clear that he is, the signs are there, and the signs are very promising on him potentially developing into a very good offensive player. He's somebody I think would really fit with Memphis because of the fact that he fits the kind of that old school mentality of that grit and grind defense, and he kind of fits that new mentality of the flashy, dunks and the athleticism and just jumps off the screen. I think that he fits both, and he gives something for both Memphis fans of old and Memphis fans of new. But also, it's just a hometown story as well. He's from Tennessee, born in Tennessee, went to school in Tennessee, went to college in Tennessee, and then he ends up getting drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies in Tennessee. With the 13th overall pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, I have the Chicago Bulls selecting Sharife Cooper, the point guard, out of Auburn. Now, you might be thinking, oh, they have Kobe White. I have doubts with Kobe White ever being a true point guard. He's somebody I think just fits naturally as a sixth man off the bench, which is fine, I guess. But with Sharife Cooper, he's somebody, that shows a lot of promise and does a lot of things well for a small guard. He, is a good scorer. He's not the most efficient scorer in the world, to say the least, and I think that's somewhat concerning. but he's somebody that gets to the line a lot for someone that's 6'1", 180 pounds. That's very encouraging. He's somebody that, you know, is a really good passer. I know the assist-to-turnover ratio isn't great, but when you watch him play, he is a gifted passer. He's somebody, I think that, you know, the shooting isn't great, but I think that there's definitely room for improvement. If he was a good shooter, like all the time, and had good shooting consistency, he'd be towards the top of this draft for me. But because he isn't, and he is small, it does push him down a little bit. I still think he has a ton of potential as a small guard, because he does so many things that small guards need to do to survive in the NBA, like draw fouls, you know, get to the line, you know, handle contact well. I think he does that. He shows effort on defense as well. So there's just a lot to like, and I think that putting him in Chicago, if you keep Zach LaVine, which I would, he's been awesome. You have someone like, you know, Sharif Cooper, right, who I think would be really well fit next to LaVine, because LaVine does need a true point guard next to him, and I think Sharif Cooper could be that guy. And with the 14th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I had the Golden State Warriors selecting Franz Wagner, the sophomore small forward from the school up north, we'll say. He's somebody that I love watching, and, you know, I'm not a fan of the school, but he's so fun to watch. He's somebody, you know, he does a lot of things pretty well. He rebounds well, he scores pretty well for being on a team that's really good. He's a decent three-point shooter. He doesn't draw contact well, but, you know, he does a lot of things to make up. His passing is better than I think the numbers might suggest they are. He's somebody, you know, that I think is a safe player because of his all-around skill set. Like, he just does so many things well that, like, if one thing fails, oh, he has this and this. He makes winning plays. If you didn't know, he is the brother of Moritz Wagner, I want to say. I think he's on the Wizards right now. So if you didn't know that, now you do. You know, I'm not going to say too much about him because I actually plan on making a video about him, and I don't want to give too much away right now. But this way, you know, he's somebody, this tournament, he could see a rise up the boards, and I wouldn't be shocked. He's somebody that is really good. But that is the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, be notified whenever I release a video. If you have time, maybe go watch another video on my channel. I have a bunch of videos I just uploaded. There's over 300 videos on this channel as well, besides the ones I recently uploaded. So, you know, there's a bunch of stuff you can go check out. Go check out some of my newer work, some of my older work. I would really appreciate that. Again, if you made this point, thank you so much. Again, I just want to get this out like before March Madness. I have something going on Friday, so I can't get it out then. And then Thursday, you know, I like the randomized order I had, and I wouldn't probably have had that order on Thursday because of the fact that the order would have changed and it would have made the randomized order I had out of date. There were players, obviously, that, you know, I would have wanted to put in book night. I wanted to put in. I wanted to try to sneak BJ Boston because I still believe in his talent. You know, Josh Giddey was another name I wanted to try to sneak in, but, you know, things like that, they don't always end up working. You know, leave it down in the comment section below. Who do you think I left out? Who do you have going? What random order did you get when you clicked on Tankathon? We'd love to hear things like that. But with that being said, have a nice day.